In response to "How can I cure my white guilt?", Cheryl Strayed writes, "Your being white granted you privileges that were and are denied to people who are not white. Every white person should be ashamed of that injustice. This is different than being ashamed of being white. This difference is good news. Indeed, the societal privilege given to white people is a monumental shame. And hopefully we could distinguish that from shame around being a privileged race. However, if white people are ashamed of their privileges, or that injustice that all white people in America, no matter how racially diverse their childhood neighborhoods were or were not, no matter how much money their families had or didn't have, no matter how difficult or easy their lives have been, if white people are ashamed of this privilege, it becomes a shame sickness that has no cure. Say you are a white person. You have just become aware of your privilege. Oh man, why do these other races in my country get such a bad hand? You're not sure specifically how it has affected you, but as Cheryl Strayed writes, this privilege is true for white people no matter their circumstances. So you want to do your part and do something to repair the damage. So like Whitey, the author of How Do I Cure My White Guilt, you research proper etiquette, read writers of color, and vote in a way that will not harm people of color and other vulnerable people. You're happy that you were able to help those that are disadvantaged and make your country a better one. Yet racism runs free. This reminds you of your bountiful privilege. Perhaps in your privilege you are contributing to the racism? So, like Whitey, you take courses that will further educate you. Yet racism runs free. This reminds you of your bountiful privilege. Perhaps in your privilege you are contributing to it. So you donate to Black Lives Matter. Yet racism runs free. By now you've begun to catch a glimpse of the shame sickness. You, like Whitey, fear that nothing is enough. Part of your fear comes from the fact that privilege is invisible to itself. Cheryl Strayed says that every white person should be ashamed of white privilege. This is different than being ashamed of being white. And yet how could one not be ashamed of being white? For to be white is to have an undeniable privilege, a privilege that is self-hiding. If you're white and you don't see your privilege is so powerful that it is blinding you to itself. Thus, without explicitly saying it, Cheryl Strayed does not answer Whitey's question. Cheryl Strayed instead encourages the guilt, saying, well, you shouldn't technically be ashamed of your skin, but you should be ashamed of the privilege your skin grants you. Please, stay ashamed. Little black and white babies are born everywhere, all over America, every day. Neither of them choose to be born into a world in which whites are favored. Let us not point the finger at the white person and insist that history labels them with shame for their advantage. Let us not strip other races of their agency, leaving the only ability to redistribute power in the hands of white people. Let all races bind together in order to redistribute the power so that people will be evaluated by their own character rather than the group they are a part of.